Welcome to Two Travel Dads Podcast. Here we share our favorite destinations, travel tips, ideas for saving money, and stories from our adventures. Be sure to check out our show notes at twotraveldads.com/podcast-episodes. Hey, welcome to Two Travel Dads Podcast. I'm Rob.
I'm Chris.
And today we are going to talk all about Universal Studios Florida. So,
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's one of the coolest places around. Super duper different from Universal Studios Hollywood. Totally different from Islands of Adventure, which is the theme park next door. And nothing similar to any of the Disney parks.
That's good. It sounds like a unique place to go.
It totally is. So I think we're just going to jump right on in. We already recorded an episode, which you can check out through the podcast page, all about Universal Orlando Resort and how it's laid out and what makes it an interesting place to visit, including some tips about being able to visit on a budget and where you're going to find your best value. We kind of got into some hotel stuff. We talked about Volcano Bay. And now we're going to dig into the attractions of Universal Studios Florida. And we're going to talk a little bit about dining, a little bit about the Express Pass, which we talked about a little bit more in our first episode. And then, about some entertainment and Christmas, all that stuff. And get into the wizarding world of Harry Potter as well, which I think is the coolest. So, let's dig in.
Awesome.
Cool. So Universal Studios Florida, you enter it from the City Walk Plaza. So when you get into City Walk, you tromp through and there's lots of shops and you're going to want to buy souvenirs before you even get into the park, but don't do that.
Or get a picture taken.
Yes, you're definitely going to have to get your picture taken, including in front of the big Universal Globe, which I actually think is really cool.
Oh yeah, it makes for some really great shots. We've got a few.
Yeah, and yeah, you'll see. It's awesome. But so you walk past all that to the entry plaza, and it looks like you are entering a big movie studio set, just like vintage Hollywood. You go in, there's vintage cars, there is vintage storefronts. You can walk down Sunset Boulevard or Hollywood Boulevard. It's super cool.
Takes you to a new place.
Yeah. But then worked into all that are some really cool different shows. There are attractions like rides, and then also character meet and greets. And it's not going to be on any map, and there's no signs pointing to it. But you'll also be able to, if you're a wizard, you'll be able to get to Diagon Alley through Universal Studios Hollywood. So, lots to conquer in that park. With that, what's your favorite ride in Universal Studios?
Oh, in Universal Studios. So in Universal Studios, I like thrill rides, like roller coasters, and there's one at Universal which is pretty amazing, which is the Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket, which I really love.
That.
And what's cool about it is that you get to choose your own music to ride to, which I think is great.
What's your favorite song when you actually ride Rip Ride Rocket?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like it's a Black Eyed Peas song.
Pump It.
Pump It, I think, is what I play.
Pump It is pretty good for it. There's also some Beastie Boys that you can choose, which goes really great with the curves and drops. Also, I Will Survive is a great one.
I think that's appropriate.
Yeah, and what's funny about it, so Oliver loves Rip Ride Rocket. He's our oldest. He's all about the roller coasters. Rip Ride Rocket, it's such an intense roller coaster that you're not allowed to bring anything on whatsoever, not even your phone. Like, you have to put it in
Everything
a locker.
in a locker.
You can't walk on with anything at all. So when you're on it, if you do feel the need to capture a photo or relive the moment, it actually records you on video as you go through. So at the end, you can watch your little video of what you did and how badly you screamed, which is hilarious. But what I think really makes Rip Ride Rocket cool is the way it begins, because you get up to the top and it dangles you. And you just, you go directly straight up.
Like a 90-degree, boom, just drop down.
Yeah, it's pretty it's pretty intense. But it's great. It's a great roller coaster. Do you know what my favorite ride is at Universal Studios?
I think yours is likely going to be the Express, Hogwarts Express, that takes you from over King's Cross Station to the other side.
Well, yes, that is actually. But that's not, for purposes of our conversation. No,
Oh.
I love The Mummy.
Oh, do you really?
I love The Mummy, and it took forever for some reason to get everybody else to go on The Mummy with me. And it is just the coolest ride. It's got actual fire in there. It's kind of rough. I love it. It's fun.
That's the one that Elliot actually screamed on, right?
Oh my gosh, so it's the actual scream of terror. It was absolutely incredible hearing the genuine fear come from his tiny little lungs.
Yeah. He loved the ride, but it was just there was a moment that caught him off guard.
Oh my gosh, it was great. But the Mummy is my favorite ride. And there's the Mummy ride that's kind of similar to it at Universal Studios Hollywood. But ours here in Florida, I think, is pretty great. And the queue to get to it is really cool because you're going through the set, you're going through some cool ancient Egypt stuff, and there's some neat effects as you go through too. So
Yeah, it's cool queuing.
So that's why I think the Mummy is awesome. We should pull the kids in here to talk about this too, but no, they're busy. The kids would tell you that their favorite ride in Universal Studios is definitely Jimmy Fallon's Race Through New York.
They love Race Through New York.
Gosh, it's their absolute favorite. It's one of those experience rides that you were talking about.
Yeah.
In our first Universal Orlando episode, we were talking about the difference between like rides here and rides at Disney World. And Chris pointed out that the ones here are much more the experience versus the physical movement. And that's exactly what Race Through New York is. You know, it's this really immersive 3D screen where you're going through New York City in this funny, what's it called? The late night rider.
It might be called that, yeah.
But it's wild. It takes you everywhere and it feels like a roller coaster. It's some of the best experiential effects that I've seen on a ride, and the kids love it.
Yeah, it's again, it's called like you're in a flying theater type of thing.
Yeah.
Like you're just seated, but you really feel like you're moving throughout New York and racing with Jimmy, even though you're still strapped in a seat with everybody else.
The Tonight Rider, that's what it's called. It's
The
called
Tonight
the Tonight
Rider.
Rider. But so with that, the queue is also kind of a part of the ride. It's just like you have entered, Rockefeller Center going up to NBC Studios. And when you get up there, there's hashtag the Panda from the Tonight Show and the Barbershop Quartet from the Tonight Show. They actually have all kinds of different experiences, interactions while you're waiting for your boarding group, which makes it awesome too. So it might be a long line, but you're still having fun.
Yeah, but I also think that's why we like that ride, because oftentimes we go there towards the end and there's never a line to get through Race Through New York.
True story. Yeah. What's your least favorite ride at Universal Studios?
There's one that I haven't ridden. I haven't ridden the Simpsons ride because you think it makes you
really?
sick, I think. So I've still never done the Simpsons, and I've never done E.T. Adventure, which I know is there. Never done the Fast and the Furious Supercharged.
Really?
Nope. Or so I would have to say for the ones that I have done, the worst one is the Men in Black Alien Attack.
Oh, I love that. The kids love it too,
Yeah.
except for when it starts spinning.
Yeah.
It's like the Buzz Lightyear ride,
But older.
older and
A lot older.
hilarious.
Yeah.
But it's cool because you get to go through the whole Men in Black area, like just from the movies, like with the aliens and everything. And I think that part's great. It's just the actual ripping back and forth, shooting things.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't find it to be too entertaining, but again, I like thrill rides.
Yeah.
Right. So, but even then, like you've got still have like Transformers, the ride, which is super cool because it's again one of those call it experience rides, where you're still like in a little pod and moving around, but the way they do it is extremely immersive and it's super fun.
Yeah, there's even that one part where there's one of the what do you call them? There's the Transformers, and then there's Decepticons. Yes. There's the Decepticon, the Vortex guy.
Oh.
And you feel everything being sucked around you, like pulled up into this vortex. And it's incredible. And then there's the heat one, where all of a sudden you're literally getting blasted with heat, and you're like, what is going on? There's water, all this, but it's just that same experiential, just moving around through the ride in a little car.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
I think Despicable Me is like that too. The Minion Mayhem.
So the Minion Mayhem is just like the Jimmy Fallon ride. Yeah.
It's more like the theater, like a flying theater.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're all seated in what would look like a theater, but the whole thing moves around and you're in front of a big, huge screen.
Yeah. So that's what's very different between those and then the Transformers ride.
Because you're in a little pod.
Yeah, the Transformer you're actually moving through, and yeah, it's a bit different like that.
Yep.
But no. So what I want to say is my least favorite ride, because I think it's important to talk about these things too, is the Simpsons ride.
Yeah,
The
I've
kids
never
love
been
it.
on
They
there.
think it's great. Oh,
What makes it terrible?
it's nauseating
Why? What does it do?
because of the motion and the way that it's somehow it's extremely different from the Tonight ride or the Tonight Show ride and from the Transformers ride. It's just the way that maybe it's because it's animated motion and it's done like an IMAX, like you're in a big bubble and it's moving all around you. But I also get sick on the Avatar ride in Disney World too, and it's the same sort of concept.
Oh,
So I think it's just that all-encompassing surround motion is too much for me.
too much like real life.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. But that's why I don't like it. But the rest of it is pretty great. I mean, you feel like you are going to Krusty Land, which is fun. But you know what is the best part about riding that ride?
You get a coupon for like a free Duff beer once you're done.
No, but you can go to Moe's and you can get a Duff beer and a pink donut,
That's amazing.
and that makes riding
Just
the
don't do that
ride-
before the Simpsons
Oh
ride.
God, no. No. You do that before the ride, you're going to be puking everywhere. Very unpleasant for everybody. But afterwards, it is the perfect reward for getting through that.
There you go.
Anyways, for as much as I love theme parks, the motion sickness, it's a problem for me. Not a huge fan. The only other ride that I really want to talk about before we get into Diagon Alley is just the Fast and the Furious ride, which you said you haven't done it.
Nope.
And that is okay because it's not that astounding. So I was there for the grand opening of it. And, Ludacris was there. It was really cool. A car blasted out from behind a wall, like busting through bricks, and there was fireworks and explosions, and that was all cool. And then we rode the ride, and the ride itself is not thrilling. It is the most lackluster chase in a van through San Francisco. Anyways, definitely not getting sponsored by Universal today. It's not awesome, and you'll see that sometimes it has like a 90-minute wait. I don't know why. You could use that time to do anything else and be happier about it. So just save yourself the time and skip it.
Just go to Escape from Gringotts instead.
I know, because guess what's right next to Fast and the Furious Supercharged?
Diagon Alley.
Yeah, but there's one other thing. Jaws is hanging right there. So go get your photo with Jaws.
Get your Instagram shot.
Exactly. And then you can go towards Diagon Alley. So to get there, so like I said before, there's no signs that point to it. But you'll know when you're there because all of a sudden it looks just like London. And it's pretty remarkable. So Universal Studios, why it's called that is because it is just like all these movie studios. So there are specific areas that when you look at like the manhole covers in the street, they might say City of Chicago or New York. And as you walk through, they've got restaurants that are appropriate to whatever city they're in. And it is really cool. Mm-hmm. But then all of a sudden, as you're walking, you exit San Francisco and you just happen to be in London. And
It's kind of weird.
it is kind of weird. So you
But
walk.
it makes sense at the same time.
Yeah, you walk past King's Cross Station, and then you see the night bus, from Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
It's really. Can you go in it?
You can kind of go in it. You can go partway in it, and you can see that it is a triple decker bus with a chandelier, and you've got your bus conductor is there, and there is the talking shrunken head to interact with, which is all really
That's
cool.
cool.
And it's a great way to kind of get kids excited about going to Diagon Alley, is to be like, oh, hey, look at this. I wonder what else is around here. And then you just kind of enter through this brick wall, just like you would in the movie. And then it opens up to Diagon Alley, which is...
It's really cool.
It's remarkable.
Like just that it's like you're in Diagon Alley, like you were in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, the shops that they go into, everything from Ollivanders, which it's really cool if you actually can wait through the line to go in and have a wand choose you. It's the coolest experience. And you get to try out different wands, and you can pick the wand you want, or you can have, one of the, I don't know, are they called cast members there? I don't know what they're called. team members, we'll say. They can pick out a wand for you, and it's a really cool experience. But there's all kinds of shops all through Diagon Alley that are just like what you've seen in the Harry Potter movies.
They're themed so well.
It's super cool,
I
and
mean,
they also
just stare at through the windows at like all the awesome products and stuff inside.
Yeah.
Whether or not you're gonna outfit yourself in full on
Hogwarts
Gryffindor clothes, right? Or going to the candy shops, right, and just seeing all the really cool stuff they have inside, all the suckers, the cupcakes.
There is an
candy.
awful lot of candy.
You said there isn't a whole lot.
Oh
of
no,
candy?
there
I'm
is.
like, no,
there's,
it's everywhere.
There's so much candy.
So much candy, and it's just fun because it's really whimsical, right?
Yeah. And they do also some cool shows in Diagon Alley. There's a nice big covered atrium area. It still feels like you're outside, but it's perfect on a rainy day. And they do things like different musical performances, just like you would expect wizards to be singing. And they've got some cool puppetry that is really remarkable. Wow, like the whole story of the Deathly Hallows, they do that with puppets, and it's...
That's cool.
It is one of the coolest shows I've seen. And then also the other part of Diagon Alley that I think is cool is Nocturne Alley.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so...
It's super dark back there.
Yeah, you can just kind of walk past it and not even realize you walked past it. But if you see the tiny sign for Nocturne Alley and turn in that dark alleyway, it is like, it's pitch black. Mm-hmm. Like, it is dark like the night.
Yeah, and you'll also see, like, even whether or not you're in there or the rest of Diagon Alley, you're like, what? And if this is your first time, why is everybody standing in front of windows and nobody's, like, moving and crowds are gathering? And it's because there is magic to be made in Diagon Alley. So if you do get one of those wands, you can practice spells in front of some of these places where there's, like, a little, like, magic or a little medal or medallion or something in the ground that signifies where magic can happen if you cast the right spell.
So it'll actually have like the spell that you're supposed to say, which you don't actually have to say, and then the motion that you need to make with your wand in front of the different windows, and then the windows will come to life with all kinds of cool stuff. And if you are having a tough time sorting out your magic and making it work properly, there's lots of wizards around who will actually come up and help you, and they'll check your wand and make sure that your wand does have magic, because you can get two different types of wands. You can either get one that is just a cool prop, or you can get one that actually has magic. So if you've got a magic wand, then you can do all kinds of cool things with the windows. So
it's interesting because you know some people will complain about 90 minutes for a ride, but they'll sit in front of a window for 90 minutes trying to cast a spell.
It's hilarious, actually. But yeah, no, it's really cool. And then one other really neat thing, if you're one of those people who likes the dark side of Harry Potter, in Nocturne Alley, there's the full-on Borgin and Burke's shop, which has like all of the evil things, the evil clothes, the evil gizmos and gadgets and like souvenirs that you would possibly want. You can get all those in Nocturne Alley because you can't find them other places. So
there you have it.
The last thing, actually there's two more things, but they're all kind of connected. There is a ride in Diagon Alley, an attraction, and I will say it is one of the coolest experience / roller coaster rides I've ever been on. It is Escape from Gringotts inside the bank.
It's amazing. Just from the time you walk in, through all the queuing, getting to the ride, it's a great experience.
And what makes it really cool and really different, so again, it's got kind of that experiential thing going on with the screens and really cool projections, and all the characters from Harry Potter are all mixed in through it, but also it has roller coaster elements where it actually moves super crazy fast, and like you will drop and you will have kind of that simulated motion, but also full on hardcore motion where you are being flung around inside the ride. And it's really, really cool. And if you know the stories, and then the context of Gringotts, that there's a dragon that lives down in the depths, and that dragon is actually sitting on top of Gringotts. So when you're in Diagon Alley, one of the coolest things is you can listen for this growl, and if you catch it every 10 or 15 minutes or so, the dragon on top of Gringotts will actually breathe fire, and you can feel it everywhere. It's so
really cool. Yeah.
But yeah, that's everything you can basically do in Diagon Alley, I'd say. The only other thing that we typically do, my favorite restaurant in Universal Studios is the Leaky Cauldron.
The Leaky Cauldron. Bangers and mash. Is that where
Bangers
you
and
get the
mash.
bangers and mash?
That's my meal of choice. It is really good. I don't typically love theme park food, but the Leaky Cauldron, yeah, I've eaten there by myself, and I've eaten there with friends, family. I think it's fantastic. It's my favorite.
Yeah, no, it's good food, and I've had that bangers and mash, which is delicious. The fisherman's pie,
Oh, those are good too.
and of course it's just got good fish and chips, and they've got beer and butterbeer if that's your, if you fancy that.
Gross. So something else to kind of consider with a place like the Leaky Cauldron or Three Broomsticks over in Hogsmeade.
Can you get reservations?
You cannot get reservations, but you can wait through the queue, and you can actually, I think you might be able to do something through the quick service now where you can say, "Hey, I'm in line," or something like that to kind of hold your place.
Oh, that's interesting. Or because sometimes you can order ahead too, right?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly how it works. I got to pull up the app to look at it.
Yeah, I think you can order ahead, and it gives you a window of time or something for you to then
Yes,
go.
that's what it is. Yeah. So then you still have to wait through a bit of a queue to get in and actually like pick up your food and pay. Or you don't pick up your food, but you pay and you order your drinks and stuff. And then you'll be seated somewhere. And then they will bring you your food. So it's kind of a mix of a reservation, kind of a quick service, and then kind of sit down dining. It works. It's weird, but it works.
Yeah, and there's a lot of places to eat in Universal, but I think we just do Leaky Cauldron, or there's that the whole experience in Simpsons Land area,
Food,
right?
What is it? Food Boulevard?
I think Food Boulevard,
Yeah.
yeah, and we usually go to Krusty Burger.
Yeah, because Krusty Burger has good, consistent hamburgers, chicken fingers, things
Pink
like that.
donut and beer.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, those I think are the only places really that we eat consistently. Yeah,
It's just it's what works for us and our kids. So,
Yeah.
but lots of options there too, and there's still even a Starbucks if you need it.
Oh, that's right. There's actually a couple Starbucks. I think there's 2 or 3. But yeah, so that's Universal Studios. One of the other things to keep in mind if you're plotting a trip into Universal during the holidays or spring break, during spring, they've got Mardi Gras stuff going on, which includes concerts. So there's certain times where, like, if you do have like a seasonal annual pass, you might not be able to enter on certain days because there will be a concert that night. So keep that in mind. We saw Jessie J there, which was pretty great, performing on the big the clamshell stage. And then during the holidays, they've got things like the Macy's parade actually goes through the whole studios area in like the New York section. And then they've got one of the sound stages set up so that you can go in and actually check out all the parade balloons. You can meet Santa. And I got to say,
He's a good Santa.
one of the best Santa experiences we've ever had. So, worth going at Christmas just for that. What's up? You have a weird look on your face.
Oh, I'm just looking at other entertainment that's available, like shows and stuff in Universal, because I know that we've done the Bourne Stuntacular, which is pretty cool.
Oh, I didn't even talk about the Bourne Stuntacular.
No, there's
It is
that.
the coolest.
Yeah, so why don't you tell people about it real quick?
It just, oh my gosh, how did we forget that? So, on Hollywood Boulevard, there is actually a stunt show that is remarkable. It's based off of the whole like the Bourne Identity, Bourne Supremacy movies, and what makes it so great, besides all the stunts, are the amazing effects in there. Between the way that you go from city to city to helicopters inside, it is just, it's the coolest. It's also a really big theater, so you typically, if you want to see it, you'll make it in, unless it's a rainy day and everybody else is thinking the same sort of thing. But yeah, wow, it is the coolest and totally worth taking the time to sit through. I'm just thinking there's no other shows that I recommend quite like that. But gosh, it's really cool.
Yeah, no, where I made the face though was because I was seeing the Tales of Beetle the Bard, which I think is the puppet show that you were talking about in Diagon Alley, which I've never seen. And now I'm just seeing these puppets, and they're pretty impressive.
Yeah, no, that's part of the whole Deathly Hallows thing that I mentioned. It's
Yeah, I've just never seen it.
It's incredible. Yeah. Life size.
I think that we need to go, all of us, see it next time.
Well, when we renew our passes in the next month, we can go back. So, good times. Anything else that you want to talk about with Universal Studios? Oh, crud. Huge thing. What connects Universal Studios to Islands of Adventure?
Oh, I think it's a train.
Yeah, Hogwarts Express. I don't know how we were skipping
Hogwarts
that.
Express.
So the Hogwarts Express is really cool, but here is what makes it complicated. And this is a great transition to our next episode, which is all about Islands of Adventure. What makes riding the Hogwarts Express interesting or special or complicated or tough is that you can only ride it if you have a multi-park ticket. So you enter through King's Cross Station when you're in studios, and then they will scan your ticket, and if you have Express, then you'll get over a lot faster. But you will have to have a ticket to Islands of Adventure as well if you want to ride from studios over to Islands of Adventure. So this is where you actually get to go through platform 9 3/4 and walk through the wall.
It's so cool.
It's the coolest. It is one of my favorite things in either park. And then the actual train journey is just neat. You know, you're on the Hogwarts Express, and
But the theming is so cool. And, what you're seeing out the train windows, what you're seeing that's passing you by right on the inside of the train, just the way they do it just really immerses you.
yeah, it is
in the
actually
experience.
magical.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but again, if you're only visiting one park one day or something like that, you won't be able to ride the Hogwarts Express unless you have that ticket that does get you back and forth between the parks.
I feel like if you're only doing one park one day, you're probably a local.
Yeah. And you're probably also not going to... Well, no. I mean, if you got the right type of season pass, then you can pop back and forth. But if you are just like adding Universal to a bigger Orlando trip and you're only doing one park one day, you're not going to get Hogwarts Express. So just something to keep in mind.
But I mean, to also, like, before we wrap up, I feel like Universal is all about now Wizarding World of Harry Potter. And so if you're not planning on going to both parks and experiencing all of I can't even say it, Wizarding World of Harry Potter, then you're missing out.
Yeah. It really... I think that Universal is a 3-day sort of thing. If you live here, you can just go one day and then come back. But if you are visiting from anywhere else, I think 3 days at Universal is absolutely perfect. That gives you time to do both parks. It gives you time to chill and experience every single thing and do the things you love multiple times. So,
Yeah, make it 4 days.
cool. We'll make it 4 days. There you go. That wraps up our talk about Universal Studios Florida. Tune back in for Islands of Adventure and check out our other podcast episodes. We've got everything from chatting about Disney World to more about Universal, other cool things to do in Florida, all about Hawaii, all those sorts of things. So give us a little subscribe through iTunes or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And yeah, tune in again for another episode.
Thanks, everybody.
See you later. Two Travel Dads podcast is written by Rob and Chris Taylor and produced by Rob Taylor in Suquamish, Washington. If you would like to be on Two Travel Dads podcast or sponsor it, please visit us at twotraveldads.com/work.